saved now. Okay, all right, ready? Okay. Good evening. Today is Wednesday, August 19th, 2020. No, on the other computer. The mute is on.
It says live. Let me see.
Let's make sure it's just on. I think that's the one feedback. Okay, perfect. Okay, my apologies. Today is Wednesday, August 19th, 2020, regular session of the School Board of School Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The time is now 6:07 p.m. The place is the School City of East Chicago Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street, East Chicago, Indiana, 46312. This meeting is also being streamed live via YouTube, and the actual web address could be found on our website. This is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by the agenda. We do ask for those who've not attended a school board meeting before that we be respectful of our presenters as well as our superintendent and school board members. If someone is speaking, please keep comments to a minimum, especially if someone else is talking. First, we'll have a roll call.
Trustee Rodriguez. Present. Trustee Jones. Present. Trustee Williams. Present. Trustee Smith. Present. Chairman Hernandez on.
Present. Can we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, we will have presentations. First would be Superintendent, right?
Yes, before we begin our presentations, I would ask the board to remove the personnel report from the agenda. The reason why I'm asking for the removal of the personnel report is because it has come to my conclusion that we had a few errors on the personnel report, and we wanted to make sure that it is accurate and precise. So we will have a special session meeting on Friday with an updated, more accurate personnel report. So I'm asking for the board to please remove the personnel report.
Madam President.
Trustee Rodriguez. Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for removal of the item number 3, approval personnel report. Trustee Jones seconds the motion. Are there any questions?
Yes, I do.
Trustee Williams.
The personnel report, you said we have a special session?
Yes, we will have a special session this Friday at 6 p.m. This will give Mr. Doctor, our HR director, and myself time to go through the list and make sure that it is accurate and it is updated with the correct information. Yes.
So the information that's here is not as accurate as we need it to be in order for us to approve this personnel report.
There's a few inconsistencies, not many, but a few. So it would take us a few minutes to amend it, but we wanted to make sure before we actually have it board approved that it's actually, everything is accurate. So Mr. Doctor and I will meet bright and early tomorrow morning to make sure that it's accurate. But pretty much only a few things will change on that personnel report. So I want to be clear when I say this, that there won't be much that will change on that personnel report, but we wanted to make sure that it is the final document that's board approved. So being clear, much will not change. It's just maybe 2 or 3 issues that we need to adjust.
Any other questions?
Madam President,
Trustee Rodriguez.
I know that there's other items on this personnel report for future reference. Is there any way that we could separate? We have like A or B, or there's still be personnel report, but have certain criteria on each, so that way if we're removing one, we're not removing all. And I think that's what we did here. We're moving everything.
It's literally gonna be 2 days. I don't know if that, I mean, it's, me personally, we would have to literally like a list, right?
So what we decided to do is to just delay all of it until Friday to keep it simple.
Yeah.
As opposed to approving some of it tonight and then some of it on Friday. We just thought since we're gonna conduct a special session on Friday, let's just delay all of it until then.
So realistically, I mean, there's a lot of sections that need to be actually looked at, divulged into, you know, some things are just kind of, I guess, terms of, you know, language and years of service. And I think that that's what really needs to be looked at just a little bit more. So that's why we're postponing actually making a vote on anything, because it was brought to the superintendent's attention that what we saw before us is not the accurate list. So they want to make sure they dive in a little bit deeper with our HR director to make sure that it's actually it. And I understand there's, I think, 1 or 2 people who are, or 1 individual who's getting hired again. I think we could just wait that till Friday, unless there's, you know, other people who are opposed with you.
What was the motion? Just your recommendation.
Yeah, well,
I know that there's also some other items here.
stipends. Yeah, I mean, it's still gonna, if I'm correct, it's not, it won't affect it if it's from Wednesday to Friday, correct? It's still the same week? Leah, yeah. Wednesday to Friday, still the same week?
I'm sorry,
With the stipends, Wednesday to Friday won't change when they get paid, it's still the same week?
no, this stipends will not be paid until next payroll, if that's there, because I'm looking for some that says 24, and I'm looking for professional development, the title of professional development.
So if I may say one more thing, the list that is inaccurate is the layout list. The other items will remain on the personnel report. So it's the layout list that has a few inaccuracies. All the other personnel issues will remain on the personnel report.
In that case, Madam President. Motion.
It's already on the floor.
Motion.
You want to amend it?
Yeah.
Sure, yours.
I noticed that here on this on the sequence 1 and 2 will remain, right? So the motion, my motion would be that all of sequence 3 is removed off the personnel report.
Is there a second for his motion?
You guys see that? Or?
I see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Is there a second for his motion? So Rhonda, any questions with that?
No, but I will just clarify. So what the motion on the floor currently is to remove all of the layoff categories that Superintendent Wright suggested had some errors. The rest of it actually is fine and there's no issue with it. So if the board wants to go forward with approving that portion of it, there's no problem with
But that sequence 3, does that goes into, is that all the way through personnel reports where it deals with stipends?
No. Oh, wait,
I just think it'd be a lot simpler if we just amend the personnel report. Come back with the more accurate personnel report. Leila said it doesn't affect the stipend,
no.
Mr. Rodriguez, right?
These stipends will not be paid until the next payroll.
So there is a motion on the floor. We can't take a vote. If it passes, we can move forward with that. If not, then we'll just make this get voted on, the new list on Friday. That's what it is at this moment. And
Is that so right?
So just to be clear, the motion on the floor is approval of the personnel report minus all of the all the layoffs. That's what's on the floor right now.
technically it's not, because he just said 3. And what? So just removing 3, what you said? Okay, so then I guess, yeah. Yep. And I mean, you could go forward if you like. So any questions? Rhonda, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Yes.
Trustee Williams,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yeah.
Cameron Hernandez on.
No, and I should have asked this prior to the vote. Item number, sequence number 1, I have a question with the process of sequence number 1. So I personally would like to not have that waited until Friday. But I guess the agenda passed.
Yeah.
So then it just moves forward. We can't go back to,
Mhm.
if I can't put a motion on the floor to remove that item.
You can put a motion on the floor to reconsider and then have a discussion about that one particular item. you want.
I'm putting a motion on the floor to reconsider sequence number 1. Is there a second for the motion?
So if there is a second, we can have a discussion as to why you want to do that. Without a second, we can't have that discussion.
No second for the motion. Okay. So now we are at item number 1, special education, red plan, presentation, Mrs. Paul.
Good evening, everyone. School Board of Trustees, Ms. Wright, and community. Tonight I'm here to talk to you about our therapy sessions, our plan for face-to-face therapy and transportation. So tonight I'm going to just talk a little bit about it. I have it, gave a copy to everyone as far as the board goes and Ms. Wright. And so what we did was we reached out to 400 parents to ask them to see if they would like face-to-face therapy, because we know that face-to-face therapy is the best therapy. We were concerned about regression and other things, and so we reached out to our parents. Many of the parents, were a little bit apprehensive, but some of them agreed once we talked to them about our plan. So we have decided we're going to hold therapy at Central High School, and we've got the rooms separated to where it's room 579 and room 517. We have a lot more room here since we don't have any students in the room. Our therapy plan will take place. What we've decided is we're going to divide the town into 2 sections. So on Mondays, we're going to service on this side of town, and then on Wednesdays, we'll service the other side of town, trying to make sure that
we don't have buses running all over, and making sure that we're trying to minimize traffic within the city and everything. And on Tuesday, we'll have all car riders coming so that we are making sure to meet the parents at the curb, getting them, the children out of the cars, and I'll talk a little bit more about the car. So we have 45 students that have agreed to face-to-face therapy. And our schedule will run from 8:30 to 2:30 with a break in between for lunch. And we're going to take every precaution, of course, to make sure that procedures are in place. So for cleaning and sanitizing, we'll make sure that all therapy rooms and everything is wiped down within each session. And then we're going to make sure at the end of the day there's thorough cleaning. We're also going to make sure that if a family has a child or 2 children, or even more children that receive various therapies, they'll all come on the same day to minimize having the families to worry about, oh, what day is therapy? So so-and-so goes on Monday, so-and-so goes on Tuesday. So what we decided was, we looked at the families, we have them all coming together, whether they're riding in a car or coming on a bus. We really wanted to accommodate our families. They have enough on their plates. So we also we'll make sure that a therapist and all staff will check their temperatures at the start of the day. If there should be a temperature of 100.4, they will be sent home. Of course, we'll follow all procedures. PPE gear will be worn by all staff members at all times, and then students will be required to wear a mask at all times. If a student struggles with wearing a mask, we'll try first to provide social stories, talk about keeping their masks on. If they don't and they're continuously taking off the masks, we will then, meet with the parents, but we will really attempt to provide that face-to-face therapy as much as possible, unless, of course, there's a safety issue. Then we'll be talking about another way to provide therapy. The rooms have been set up so that we're making sure that social distancing requirements are met, and the students will be serviced in small groups, 2 or less. So to make sure we're of course, trying to minimize contact. Parents, if they agree that they want face-to-face, they'll have to sign informed consent documentation related to face-to-face therapy sessions. And my team and Jewel and I worked really hard to come up with documentation protecting the child, protecting the school system, the therapists, and everyone. And Jewel, I don't know if you'd like to speak on that a little. I gave you copies of those documents also.
Yes, the fourth consent form is designed just to make sure everyone's aware that there's an inherent risk associated with in-person therapy services during the COVID-19 pandemic. It's really intended to document the fact that the parents are aware of this, parent or guardian is aware of this, and is consenting to going forward with it. The document itself as well, we designed to be executed and via e-signature to make it convenient for the parents or guardians as well. So I think it ended up being a good document from both the therapy perspective and also the legal perspective.
We're going to encourage parents to send children because we would like to minimize student and adult contact, but transportation will be provided on a regular schedule accordingly. And all parents driving their children to therapy must wait in the parking lot during the therapy session. Something should happen. And so that, we're not waiting on parents. We need to make sure we're moving kids in, we're moving them out, so that there's not a lot of kids waiting in any type of area. Of course, minimizing contact also. The therapists will continue to maintain binder logs, which I have here. They're going to be online, so administrators can look at them. But they're going to document the minutes. They're going to document the IEP goals, address the data, and then parents will sign if they drop the kids off. If not, the therapist will sign, and they will be turned in weekly to ensure we have those logs. And the therapist will also follow all guidelines as stated in therapy procedures. We will have paraprofessionals that will support the kiddos to take the kids' temperatures as they walk in. Again, if the student has a temperature of 100.4, they will not receive services on that date, and they will follow the quarantine procedures. They'll check to make sure students are wearing masks and appropriate PPE gear. And I have ordered, for example, some of our students are hard of hearing or read this. For speech, you can't wear a mask. So we've ordered these masks, which are very comfortable. Staff and I walked around for hours with them. They're very breathable. You can see there's not a problem. Everyone's going to wear these in therapy so that, everyone can read, watch what others are saying, and just so that everyone's able to understand. For the little ones, we've ordered like little hats, but, just to make sure that some of them don't want to keep on a mask, we're going to try to get as hard as we can to make them. Well, they'll also have to wear a small mask or a therapy mask with that. But we've also ordered quite a bit of gear as far as desk dividers, tabletop dividers, plastic panes, making sure we are protecting everyone, students and staff. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that. The paras will escort the students to and from therapies, within therapies for safety and support. They will also log their attendance. They will have parents sign the kids in and out, making sure, we know where students are at all times. And they will also remain with the students from room to room and session to session, as I said, supporting them. Parents will be notified of therapies very soon. We have a letter to go out that has, if the child has 3 therapies, it has their therapy times, it has their therapy minutes, and the date and everything, and then also a phone number to call, just in case there are any questions. Therapy sessions will be set and remain constant weekly as specified, because if we're changing therapies, it really does become an issue. So we're going to adhere to the schedule that we come up with. If a therapy session is missed by a student, we won't make it up. But if a therapy session is missed by a therapist, say they have to be quarantined or what have you, we will make up those sessions. And then parents will be notified that a child will miss instruction. And I need to say this because when we're picking them up, there's transportation time involved, and then therapy time, and then transportation back. It's taking them away from their instructional time, their instructional minutes. So we need to make sure parents understand that. And most parents have agreed and understand that, but they also understand the importance of students receiving services face-to-face. Especially the students, many of the students that have selected to come face-to-face. These are the students that really need it. And as I said, we will take every precaution that we can. We'll follow the CDC guidelines for staff and students. If anyone should test positive, we will make sure all parties are notified. And of course, we're doing what's in the best interest. This kind of school then may change at times, but we feel we are working with transportation. We have really sat down, thought this out, and we have keep everyone safe. Get those services in place. Any questions?
Yes. I know number 2, it says students with attempts 100.4 will not be receive services and will be sent home to follow quarantine procedures, but will the service module stay the same for them and they'll just be via Zoom, or how does that work?
Yeah. So either that or we'll make that up. It'll just be made up at a later date.
But it'll be according to the parents?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Then the second thing is those that are on the buses, the students that they usually have an aide on the bus.
Mhm.
is that also going to continue to be provided?
Yes, I thought I put that on here, but today when I was looking at something, Elaine and I were talking and I erased it, but there were, I need to add that back, I thought I had it here. Bus transportation has their own guidelines, and of course, the social distancing is going to be, make sure, take place, they'll be training their people about, keeping on the mask. We're going to start our therapy sessions with social studies, and we're going to make sure the kids understand about wearing their mask, the safety of it, talking about COVID. For the ones that will understand that, but also too, now just. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, I couldn't hear me too. I apologize. I'm very loud too. Yes, we're working with transportation to make sure that they also are keeping.
So just,
Social distancing, there's a pair.
I know we're saying that the paraprofessionals are the ones that are going to do the temperature testing when we get to the schools, but wouldn't it be, I would assume that because students are more than likely going to be more than one on a bus, correct?
More than one student?
On a bus.
Yes.
So wouldn't the bus driver aide or the bus driver be the ones to check the temperature prior to going on the bus? Because then if the child has
That's a
COVID,
good point. We thought about that, and then, and we do have, plenty of thermometers where we could do that, and we can do that.
if not, then you have to sanitize the bus as well as everybody in that bus will
So,
be.
yeah, we had talked about that. I think that's a better idea. Thank you. Yeah.
My question is, I'm sorry. I know
No,
you're
I'm
done.
done.
So we have 45 out of, you said you made 400 calls to parents
Yeah.
of students?
Now, we didn't reach everybody. We made 400 calls, yes. And a lot of those are open. Parents with speech, a lot of them elect to be on that.
Miss Poole, can you talk into the mic, please?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
And it was 45 that have confirmed that they're gonna do face to face.
Confirmed.
Okay, and I know you mentioned that you're gonna do it inside, meaning either the Harbor side and the East Chicago side, if that's correct, sides. So do we know the number out of that 45 that's coming from east side of town?
Yes, we do, and I actually have the plan already. The kids are already scheduled in. We just had a few more parents call today, and so we're adding them, but,
So the
yes.
number is going from 45 to what now?
I think about 49.
Okay.
Yeah, there's not, parents really don't want the online, the face-to-face, especially think about the fact that my child is getting speech, but they're gonna miss math, or they're gonna miss, so they're electing to just do the face-to-face online, where they get online, they get their service, they jump back off, they jump back into their teacher's class, or they jump back into their work. A lot of it was, because we have to tell them, you're gonna miss. So by the time you go around and you pick up 3 students, say, okay, then you have to get them back. The kiddo goes in for his service. If he has 2 services, it could be a 30-minute and a 45-minute. So now you've missed that instructional time. A lot of parents are just saying, no, I'd rather just have them jump in on a Zoom platform, get my therapy, and then go back to what I was doing.
Now, are all your therapies listed in regards to what they're gonna be doing from 8:30 to 2:30?
Oh, yeah.
Speech?
Yeah, speech, OT, PT, yes.
Okay.
Yes, and they really worked well together. Today they came back because we had a glitch and we were wondering if we missed some kids and stuff. But like I said, the plan is fluid because as we just talked about that, it's going to change, but we're gonna do what we can for kiddos. And I do see some parents, we've already had a couple of parents that when we started, they withdrew, now they don't want.
Okay, my last question, Ms. Paul, and I'll let you
Yes.
go. I don't know if somebody else got a question, but this might be for both you and Jewel. In regards to the therapist that's coming to perform these services, are there any teachers involved? And I see that we have parents. Were parents doing these list of guidelines that we have them doing, meaning the taking temperatures, inputting information? We're not voiding parents' contract by any means necessary with them being provided this information, right?
No, we're not.
Okay.
Yeah, and our parents, they are really great. they'll do what's needed. And I wouldn't put them in any situation where I didn't think I should. I'll make sure they're safe.
Yeah, I believe that of you. I was just making sure that there was so much red tape when it comes to the parents and their responsibilities. I just wanted to make sure that we wasn't.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, that's why we made sure. A lot of districts haven't developed plans for informed consent, but our therapists are very, very cognizant of the law and making sure they're doing what's within the law. And so we worked with Jewel. We kind of prepared what we thought, and I think we did a good job. So, and we're going to make sure we follow.
So Ms. Paul, would you please explain to the audience, I know, but I think they probably need to know, explain how a day will look for a kid from the time that kid gets on the bus until the time that kid gets on the bus to go back home. So I want them to see, we know, Esther and I know, but I want you to explain to him what that day looks like for the audience.
Right. So if the kiddo's time is 9:30 bus pickup, they'll get on a bus, they'll, be brought to the Z wing area by Central High School. As I said, all therapies are going to be there. The Payroll will meet them there, sign them in, and then take them to their first therapy. If, say there was, that'll probably be the same first. I think the first therapy starts at 8:30, so we'll say 8:30. Then if the child is ready to go home, they do not have another therapy, they will then go back to the bus. We take them back to the bus, put on the bus, and then go home. A lot of our kids that are attending the face-to-face therapy have 2 or 3 therapies. So what will then happen is that little guy will go with the para or the therapist to the next therapy. In between, as I said, all areas will be cleaned. We have purchased all of the necessary equipment to do that. Most of the kiddos are not going to be there longer than, say, 90 minutes, because some of them will come a couple times a month. So that we're making sure that they're not missing a lot of instruction. So we really try to minimize that. So we will have this schedule there in place Mondays and Wednesdays for the kiddos on the bus, and then on Tuesdays for the car riders. So say that the kiddos are waiting for their therapies, we will have some little activities, and I'm glad you asked that. We have a bag for each student with their names on them. They will have their own protective gear, their own writing tools, their own boards, their own equipment. They will not use each other's equipment. They will only have theirs. So we'll also have a little couple activities if they should need to sit and wait for a bus. But they will then go home. They will not be there all day. It is not an instructional day. It is service minutes day. Any questions?
Those who are on Zoom, they will get that same packet that if.
Actually, yes, we are creating packets for home online. Some little sensory things, some activities like a little whiteboard, and we are making sure that even the kids get that. Absolutely. Well, they'll need them because while they're working with the therapist, they're going to need the tools on their end to move and utilize too, unless it's cards or if it's they're doing something that on the screen they can move. Yes, thank you for that question. Any other questions? One thing I do want to say is we are looking to at our services. COVID came about and it was a very difficult time. A lot of parents were, struggling to even get online. And so we're auditing our services, and we want you to know that talking to parents, and we're finding that some parents, are asking, well, we didn't get services. So we're looking at those logs And we're talking to parents, we're working with them, because if we provided a service, we want the parents to see that we did. If we didn't, we are going to make sure that every service is made up. And we have a plan to ensure we do that throughout the year and then at the end of the year. We're trying to be proactive. We're trying to make sure parents understand that we are serious about services and making sure that their child receives these services that are in the IEP. And so as we talk to parents, or if they call, we ask, were you happy with the service? And if they say, well, I'm not sure, we'll say, well, let's look at the log. But one of the things I want you to know is that our plan is to either provide services if they weren't offered, or at the end of the year to have our service people, because we have dollars that we usually have like a summer camp. So we're going to have those providers at the end of the year, any minutes that have been missed, or sometimes kids have regression. And we see that, we want to address that too. So we will provide those services at the end of the year to ensure we do what is necessary and needed for kids, because we want to make sure that we're following the law, one. But the other thing too is this COVID thing that has changed our lives has really affected our kiddos with therapies and services. And we're going to see some regression. So we're hoping parents do take us up on this offer and take on the little additional services that are going to be offered.
Ms. Paul, I did talk, I brought up before, I don't know, Joel, if you looked into this yet, about having case conferences with all parents in regards to the change of venue of what services look like. Because I know some are online, some are face-to-face. So by law for IEPs, these have to be changed.
Now, here's what we did. We have a little blurb in the IEP that talks about e-learning and distant learning, should it take place again, and how it will be offered, services. And, but absolutely if we need to, because I actually have to already, I have 5 case conferences, and I know Elaine's book too, with parents saying, can I just hold off? And I said, well, we have to change that in the IEP to state that you want to hold off on services. Absolutely, we can do that. Because, and I said, well, and maybe we can look at the end of the year adding a couple of sessions for you. So we're working with parents. We want them to call. We are wanting to make sure we're doing what is in the best interest of our kids. Any other questions?
Did you, Richard?
Yeah, so we basically just had a general discussion about how to deal with the fact that we have to deviate from the IEP because of the circumstances. And I think what Tammy's explaining is that she kind of already addressed that on the front end in the IEP itself. But I think your concern was there should be a sit down to revisit the IEP regardless, to make sure that if the parent isn't aware that there are options available for the IEP, you would use that opportunity as a chance to explain it to them, because they may not know what to ask for.
Correct.
Is that right? That's what you wanted?
Well, yeah, that's, I think about, we've done changes to, policies, we've done changes to procedures of people coming in because of or pay, we've done all that.
Right.
But then this is also law in regards to following IEPs. So that's why I just think that to protect ourselves.
Yeah, so right now, I think legally we're covered because we've put it out there in the IEP that all services may not be able to be provided if it's COVID related. But I think we'd be further covered if we did take the time to have this sit down, have another case. The only issue will be time. There's only so much.
You're talking 700
Right.
plus conferences, and yes, and it was, I will say that when it happened, I had already taken the time ahead of time to talk with teachers and therapists and said, we need an e-learning statement because we were going to have a couple e-learning days. So at the beginning of last year, we addressed that. There were a few therapists that felt like they would rather change the IEP as it came, and so they did that.
So maybe a good compromise for this would be just a notice going out to all the parents that, a letter going out to all of them, letting them know that these are the circumstances, if you have a concern about the services that can or can't be provided pursuant to the IEP, please contact us and we'll try to schedule a time to meet. And that way you're not automatically meeting with everyone, but you're putting it out there that we understand that there may be a change in services as we told you in the IEP, or as we disclosed to you in the IEP. If you have a concern you want to talk to us about, send me an email and then you have to get that scheduled as quickly as you can.
We're going to also have even parents that are online sign that informed consent. So we can add that with that too. This way we address every student.
So while I understand that, because when I register the children and it says if you're able to make changes or, view your IEP online, et cetera, it's not in Spanish. None of that stuff is in Spanish for registration online. So I could sign my life away if I don't know English, and you cannot move forward unless.
And I will say when we meet with parents, if we don't have an interpreter, we try to reschedule. We really do want our parents to be informed. That's the law. I have somebody that sits with us, but I didn't know about the registration part, not in Spanish. Yeah. Is that in Skyward on Skyward?
Yeah.
So here in the administration building, we made sure that we had Spanish-speaking parents, so if they came to register their kids, there was someone to translate for them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So next year, moving forward, we'll make sure that we have two versions, the English version and the Spanish version. But we do have Spanish-speaking pairs or Spanish-speaking registrars here to help our Spanish-speaking students, parents.
I will say that our IEPs are translated in, I think, 46 languages. We have that capability with our company, and for the most part, all Spanish-speaking parents that request all their documents from IEP are sent home in Spanish and in English. Okay. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, for presenters, we have a meet and greet. Superintendent Wright.
Yes, so I'm going to call the assistant superintendent. The assistant superintendent is Vince up to the podium. She's going to explain.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So on Friday of last week, our elementary schools and elementary teachers wanted the opportunity to have a meet and greet and meet their students. This is, part of SEL, being able to connect with students, as well as just things that we thought would be good for the kids on the first day of school. They actually had a face-to-face with their teachers as much as possible. Mrs. Wright and I did have an opportunity to get out of this building and go to each of the elementary schools and meet and greet with the teachers ourselves. We were very excited to be able to be out, and I just want to give you a little recap of our exciting afternoon. So that was just, really, we want to say kudos to our teachers and our staff for continuing to make a difference for our students and continuing to be Cardinal strong.
Thank you. Next, we'll move to the business portion of the meeting. Item number 1, approval of distribution of payroll. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion to approve distribution of.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval. Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Any questions? Ron, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item number 2, approval of claim dockets. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion for approval.
Trustee Smith makes a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds the motion. Any questions? On roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
trustee Smith, Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes, you're gonna have to help me through this one because I know it's a approval of the personnel amended report, adding sequence 1 and 2,
No, it's really just removing. It's just as amended.
removing sequence.
You've already amended it.
Okay,
So originally there was a request made to just remove it,
okay,
and that morphed into an amended personnel report,
okay,
which is currently on the agenda, the amended version of it.
got it.
Now we're in the business portion of the meeting, and the business to be considered is an approval
Of the
of the
amended
amended
person.
personnel report.
Okay, so it is the approval of the amended personnel report. What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I move or make a motion to approve personnel report as amended.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval. Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Are there any questions?
I have a question. I just want to be clear that we are keeping the stipends on here, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I do have a couple questions. So with sequence number 1, I just wanted to know the process on how this person was a recommendation.
So for sequence number 1, we had a committee that did include the assistant superintendent and I for this position. And the first choice from the committee was offered the position and he declined the position. However, when I actually looked at all the applicants, there were a couple that I wanted to personally remove, but they had already been scheduled for an interview, so I just let it go. So when the first choice rejected the offer, technically it was only 2 more that were somewhat qualified for the district. So Ms. Goods and I and Ms. Pohl, we then interviewed those 2 remaining candidates, and we voted for this young lady. So the recommendation is for the special ed coordinator as listed.
I guess my concern is that for other positions, when it has came to, if the recommendation from the first committee, which was not with you and Ms. Goods on the committee, what has happened is that we once again put it on the docket to, I guess, have it, I'm sorry, not to put it on the docket, but we actually have it posted again. Because that's what we've done with all the, if you've recommended something and the board has denied it, or if you recommended something and it did not pass, it has gone through and posted again so that we could have the recommendation. And you've always stated when it comes to the processes, even with our HR director, you're not involved in the process because you want to make it fair. So my question to you is, why did this item change?
The item didn't change. The first choice rejected the offer. And so I, based on my experience And me being the superintendent, I decided that rather than waste time, I decided to interview the two most qualifying people left. At the time when I did that, I think Mr. Doctor had not come in, or he was just coming in, and he was dealing with the COVID-19 issues. So the three remaining people, the top three in the district, decided that we were going to interview those two remaining candidates.
Question, why didn't the rest of the why is the rest of the people who were with the first committee on the process of this second interview?
Well, the first committee was the one that recommended the choice that rejected.
Correct.
So second interview, it would have been Ms. Goods and I on the interview team anyway.
But that's not how we've done all the other positions where you and someone else have actually done the process. Again, which was stated to us as the board was, you do not like to be on the process to make it fair. So again, I would assume that it would have been maybe Ms. Goods with the committee that was previously put into place. That's why I'm questioning the process of this, because this is the first time where you've gotten involved in a position.
With all due respect, Ms. Hernandez Orange, I'm the only one that can make the recommendation anyway.
Which is correct.
Regardless of whatever the process is, I being the superintendent, I'm the only one that can make the recommendation. It doesn't matter who the committee is.
Which is 100% correct. I'm just following the words that you have stated to the board, and that was that.
Here's another issue. Ms. Cole has stated that she needs help, and she always says that she needs help. So she hasn't been with the special education coordinator since January. We receive emails every other day stating that she needs help. For us to go back and schedule time with all the other people who were on the committee, it would have pushed us even further back. So I was being proactive. I was trying to help her out by kind of interviewing the candidates at our leisure time, because we're here in the ad building. The other people are teachers, and I believe a few may have had some PD scheduled for that Monday and that Friday. So,
But it's not really your leisure time. Everyone's supposed to be working, not just you, along with everyone else. So again, the process did change when it comes to this. This is why I want my board members to know why I was against sequence number one, because the process did unfortunately change. Ms. Pohl is not able to talk about the process, and also this is her department, and I think there should have been a joint collaboration with this, as well as there was a committee that was first established, which I would assume that they would have been part of the process. While I understand you are the superintendent, it's also our job as the board to make sure that the process of what's happening within the school district is done correctly and it's done fairly. So this is why I'm asking you what the process was and how it came to be. And I wanted my board members to understand the process was different. Any questions? Round roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
trustee Smith. Yeah. Chairman Hernandez on.
No to sequence one. Yes to the rest. Can I do?
No.
No. Next, we have the approval of recommendation for cancellation of teaching contract, Superintendent Wright.
I'm going to defer that to Mr. Harris, Attorney Harris.
Yes, included in your board packet is a set of findings of fact and conclusions of law and a proposed order related to a conference that was held by the board on July 21st, 2020, involving an employee. As a result of that hearing, there was deliberation by the board and instruction to attempt to resolve this issue through an agreement. That agreement was presented to this employee and rejected. And as a result of that, the board's instruction was pursuant to that conference that was held on July 21st to proceed with the recommended cancellation of the teacher's contract. With that, I'm recommending that you adopt the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and enter the order to terminate the teacher's contract.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion for the approval recommendation for cancellation.
Second.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval and trustee Smith seconds the motion. Are there any questions? Rhonda, roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
trustee Jones,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
trustee Smith,
Yes.
chairman Hernandez on.
Yes, item number 5, approval of rescinding of resolution 2020-1 regarding wage payment during an emergency school closure.
Yes, on March 18th, couple days after the COVID-19 school closure, we adopted a board resolution due to the state being on a shutdown order that we would pay all of our staff, parents, janitors, everyone received a paycheck because we were on shutdown. Employees were not allowed to leave their homes, so we felt as though it was only fair that we paid every single employee in the school city of East Chicago from March 13th until the end of the school year because of the shutdown order. So we do not have a shutdown order now, and we are allowed to come to work. However, there are some issues because we now have e-learning. So I'm asking the board to rescind the resolution for approval to pay all employees during the COVID-19 of 2020.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make a motion for approval.
Trustee Smith makes a motion for approval. Do you have a second for the motion? I'll second the motion. Any questions?
Yes, Ms. Wright, that last sentence that you made, you were getting approval that we
Rescind it, take it back.
rescinded.
Right, because when we approved it, we didn't put a end date on it. So I'm asking for us to rescind it. So that means that it's not in effect anymore.
And I can add to that too, if it'll help you and any of the other board members. The purpose of that resolution, when you adopted it originally, was as a result of the unknown of what was happening with COVID. And in fairness to all the employees, you just voted to make sure everyone continued to get paid and didn't suffer a loss of income. At this point, we have a better idea of what COVID is and what it looks like and what it means from a state perspective in terms of how much funding they're going to provide to the school. So we know now we don't have the luxury of continuing to pay people regardless of whether they work or not, because funding will ultimately be cut. And we know that that's happening. The governor has told us that's happening. So one of the steps that need to be taken in making sure that the district remains in a strong financial position is not paying people who aren't required to work. And that's really all this resolution does is it rescinds what you did before, it takes that back and says, no, we're not going to pay people who don't work. We will pay people who work. Arrangements have been made for people to actually come into the buildings and perform their work. And where possible, now we know how they can telework if it's necessary pursuant to the COVID protocol. So that's what this particular policy does, or the rescinding of this policy does.
I have one question. Superintendent stated that the reason why we even put this is because, or we approved this is because of the shutdown. So if we get shut down again, we'll have to bring this back up and approve this again?
Possibly. It doesn't necessarily have to look the same though. It all depends. Now we're in a little bit better position to determine how we can telework and what e-learning looks like. Before we really had no clue, right? We were caught off guard like every other school district was as to what do we do now. But what we did think, in fairness to everyone else, we don't want the employees missing a paycheck while we figure out how do we deal with this pandemic. So now I don't think it would necessarily be exactly the same.
Language will change.
The language would probably change, but yes, we would have to adopt some form of resolution if we wanted people to continue to get paid under certain circumstances.
Got it. Any other questions?
Madam President,
Trustee Rodriguez.
the only concern that I have with regards to removing this is is the fact that it's an emergency situation, and not only just a pandemic, but also talks about emergency situations. So are we, if we do have an emergency situation, or say, for example, if one of the schools burned down, are we not going to pay the teachers?
It says pandemic related in paragraph number 2.
Right, but the title says emergency school closure.
Yeah, so I think we have to deal with on a case-by-case basis. It all depends on what the pandemic brings us. Right now, this is a blanket approval to pay employees even if they don't work. And that's what you're rescinding. What you can always do is approve anything that comes before you that deals with that specific situation. The only thing this is take away the blanket approval to just pay anybody, even whether they're working or not.
This is not a NALEO.
This,
This is not a NALEO recommendation, right?
No, I think this was like a state recommendation, and you are correct that it does say emergency school closure, but it literally, the language on here all relates to pandemic emergencies. It's not anything else but pandemic.
yeah, this is something that we drafted just for East Chicago. I didn't draft this one. This is something that came from the state.
And you're right. I mean, I know you probably know more when it comes to NALEO, but anything that has been anything from regarding pandemic, I usually send them to him, especially if it's state related. I send it to him immediately. But policies, he gets it right away.
Yeah, this
So if
one,
you know that I would definitely send it over.
So by removing this resolution, basically brings it to the board when an emergency situation.
Yeah.
correct.
Any other questions? Round of roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yeah.
trustee Jones,
Yes.
trustee Williams,
Yes.
trustee Smith. Yes. Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes, item number 6, approval of SCEC temporary COVID-19 employee policies and guidance. Superintendent Wright.
Again, it's a policy, so I'm going to defer that to Jewel.
All right, what you have included in the board packet is the School City of East Chicago's temporary COVID-19 employee policies and guidance. The idea is that we need to incorporate all of the COVID-19 related legislation that's been adopted by the federal government into the policies of the School of City of East Chicago. Without doing that, we're not acknowledging that we're following all of these federal laws. So for example, the Families First Coronavirus Recovery Act, the Emergency Paid Sick Leave Act, the Expanded Family Medical Leave Emergency Act, et cetera, are all being adopted pursuant to this policy, and there's certain protocol that's being established through this policy on how to deal with COVID-19 related employment issues. The guidelines are set forth here. Obviously, it doesn't contemplate every situation that might come up, but it does reflect CDC and local health department guidance in terms of how you should treat situations that come up concerning COVID-19 in the workplace. With that, I'm recommending approval.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President,
Trustee Rodriguez.
move to approve the SEC temporary COVID-19 employee policies.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Any questions? I just want to make clear, all of the procedures that we have going on with COVID-related activities or anything like that comes or stems from policies and the guidance that we receive. And I'm not mistaken, on here, I really do believe that all of our employees should see this, should get a copy of this, should sign off on this, just because I know for a fact it's just gets confusing overall. You know, she might interpret it one way, you might interpret it one way, I interpret it a different way. I think that it really needs to just get out there in black and white, just so we could know what it is.
I agree. You don't want to have it available on the website. Obviously, this will be part of our But if you wanted to really bring attention to it, if you had it on the website separately, that would be good. This is our policy related to COVID-19, but I believe it's also the superintendent's plan to go forward with particular protocol and procedures with respect to COVID-19. So I just want to make sure it's clear that what you're doing is setting policy that's reflective of CDC guidance and local health department guidance, which is the general framework. But as we've said throughout our meeting tonight, this situation is very fluid and it changes. So the procedures and protocol that will be set forth by the superintendent will be able to react to the fluidity of the pandemic. I also believe, and I don't want to get too far into your lane, Superintendent Wright, but you also have a plan in terms of appointing a coordinator for COVID. If you want to elaborate on that, you can.
Yes, a few things. So Saturday, I received an email from Ms. Steinbeck, the AFT 511 president, and she wanted to know what were we doing with COVID. And I explained to her that the policy will be approved tonight. So, and I also included Mr. Doctor on the email. So what's going to happen is that we're going to conduct a Zoom conference with Ms. Steinbeck and her representatives, and we're going to go through that policy item by item, and they're going to take notes, and we're going to then come up with a only 2-page document that outlines everything that a staff member should do in the midst of the COVID-19. Also, I talked to my assistant superintendent this afternoon, actually, and we're going to have flyers that will pretty just outline just very basic information that will outline the do's and the don'ts and the procedures for if you come in contact with a person who has contracted, or if you have come in contact with a person who came in contact with a person who came in contact, what is, well, we have cases like that. What is the proper procedure? So yes, a Zoom conference should be scheduled probably in the next few days with the union to make sure that we all on the same page, and then we're going to have those posters. So in addition, the COVID coordinator, we appointed our district nurse, Ms. Bobo. So those of you who received that letter that was over on the podium, Ms. Bobo will be the COVID coordinator, and what she will be responsible for doing is conducting meetings weekly with all the building principals to try to mitigate all the damages that may exist with COVID-19. So what she'll do is she'll just contact building principals, or building principals will contact her, and they'll just talk about some of the issues that's taking place. Also, this is part of my superintendent's observation, but I'll say it now. We developed an email for only COVID-related questions or concerns. So rather than email 20 people, staff will just be required to email COVID-19nurse@ecps.org, and she would answer any questions necessary, and if deemed necessary, she will forward those questions to Mr. Doctor in case there's some work stoppage. So we're on it and trying to do our best to make sure that our employees are safe.
Ms. Wright, you're reading this later, is that, or just?
That's the letter that kind of explains our rules of precautions, but I'll talk about that in the superintendent's observations.
Okay. What is, oh, we already went there. Any other questions? Okay, which one? Go for it.
With regards to COVID-19, is it COVID-19 nurse?
Yes.
No, is it COVID with -19, or is it COVID-19?
COVID-19 will work.
All one word?
Yes, COVID-19. Yes. So she'll know, the nurse will know that anytime she gets email, this is all COVID related. We just didn't want to clog her regular email with COVID related questions. So she'll know to read those emails every day, and it's related to COVID.
Well, I would just like to say that with this particular policy, once our superintendent breaks it down for the employees, I think I want to commend Attorney Harris, Vanessa, Superintendent Wright, and myself, because this was a lot. This was an awful lot of work.
Mhm.
And I think it's self-explanatory, but for those who really don't understand, she's going to break it down. But I think basically we've covered just about everything regarding the COVID policies statewide and in Chicago, the health department. So if you have any problems with it, then email and let us know. But it took a lot of time and detail to come up with all of the situations pertaining to COVID-19. It was a lot of work. So I just want to commend them. I mean, we don't get commended very often, so I just want to say thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Run a roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez? No. Trustee Jones?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item number 7, approval of recommendation for fall sports superintendent. Right.
Yes, I am recommending to the board that we suspend all fall sports for the rest of the year. I talked to Monica Monday. Participation in sports is very low. The kids are not coming out for fear of contracting COVID. Most of the other districts are not participating in competition. So I just think that it's best for us as a district to suspend all of our fall sports this school year. So I'm asking the board, I'm recommending to the board that we suspend all fall sports this school year.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, make motion.
Trustee Rodriguez makes a motion for approval.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Any questions?
I do.
Trustee Smith. I'm sorry, Williams. Sorry.
We looking like.
No, I didn't say that. Please.
But, Ms., I think my question was gonna be the discussion, with the athletic director. I know she came in and did an observation or spoken with the board in regards of athletics. And from my understanding is that we were back to phase 1.
Right.
So from phase 1, we never got from phase 1 to get to phase 2 in this situation.
No, sir.
The reason why I'm asking, or I have so many questions or concern in regards to this, is because I am getting parents to contact me in regards, and it's probably because of my athletic background, but we are losing kids because we're not participating in any sport activities. I know safety is first and foremost, but also our count for the state is important too. We had 3 kids today, and I'm not sure if you're aware of this, 3 kids that has put in a recommendation for transfer to Michigan City. Now, there are some schools that are participating in athletics and on an abbreviated schedule. The state has not shut us down. We're just doing this for East Chicago in particular because I believe Hammond is still participating.
No.
No. Munster's participating.
Munster, yes.
Michigan City is participating.
Maryville.
Maryville is participating. I just don't know if this is premature without us speaking with our athletic director in regards to where we are from phase 1 to try to get to phase 2. I know we got to phase 2 and end up going back to phase 1.
No, we never made it to phase 2 ever. We never made it. I don't know if you remember, but the first week that we had practice, I think the second day, we had a soccer player that tested positive.
I recall.
And those soccer players, all the athletes were in the gym. So we suspended all sports because all those athletes were in the gym for 2 weeks. And in 2 weeks later, we were approving the E-plan. And we, at that time, I think we paused at phase 1, which was August 3rd, I believe was last board meeting. So we never made it to phase 2 ever.
Okay.
So when I talked to her Monday, she said that not many kids are coming out to participate. So as far as the athletic transfers, it's my understanding, and Monica probably can talk more about this, but students cannot transfer solely for sports. Would that be correct?
That is
You can work
aware,
around
but,
it though.
but
Yeah.
the state is taking recommendations on transfers because of the COVID-19 situation. So just like every other thing is not being, it's not being monitored as much. If it wasn't this pandemic, them transfers might not be approved.
Right.
But because of what's going on, they're a little lenient with these approval, and we're gonna lose students for that reason. I'm just saying that, just from my perspective, by all means, we don't want to put no kids out there to be in any danger whatsoever. But I just think that we're premature with the fall season just starting, and we're going to cancel it already without even seeing how we can somewhat save our fall sports season. That's just my question.
Well, with football, and I believe those kids that are transferring solely for football. It's my understanding that we don't have enough kids to even practice for football.
That's true, but I think East Chicago is different, and you probably can attest to this.
Yeah.
The reason why is because, one, we're not providing any transportation. So kids, it's very hard for kids to get from this side of the town to that side of the town. There are quite a few components that's affecting us to get numbers, but because we're not providing some of those services, our numbers are down. But I don't even know if we've tapped in any way of trying to recuperate this. That's my only concern. That's why I thought that it should have been, when we went to when she came and spoke with us and we were going back to phase one, I thought that at some point in time, we would have an update before it just hit the agenda for us to cancel without us having an update. That's my only concern. I thought that we would have had an update. And with the COVID-19 protocol, the athletic director did state that they were going to be taking attendance. So we will be able to see a trend of what's not happening or what's happening. And then we can make a decision. I'm not comfortable with making a decision to cancel without having gotten any data in regards to where we stand with that. That's just me personally, for me.
Question, was there any another case?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So I guess I'm gonna get pegged as a athletic person, and we only care about athletes as they love to peg us as, but
That's not so. That's what they say.
that's what they say. But my thing is that a lot of our students do play sports just because they want something else to do. We didn't get anyone to say that, oh, this happened again. We could have stayed at phase one, and people use that as an outlet to just kind of be around each other or play or whatever. And again, I mean, our athletic trainer is here, and I don't think that I know he's going to protect our students, and I know that he is going to do a great job of making sure they are safe and wearing masks and how we have it set up. He's a great guy, and I know he cares about our kids probably sometimes more than we do. But at the same time, you know, we're shutting down the sports. Even if we're at phase one, I think some of our kids would have liked to just be able to be with each other. And if we don't have the data to support the fact that we're shutting everything down, why are we even doing it? And I don't even care about the competition play. We don't have to play other sports or other schools. But the fact that they're able to just do the running outside and be able to just talk to other individuals, that's a motivation for some of our students. You see the parks right now, they're full of kids because they do nothing else. I haven't seen this many people ride bikes, go in the parks, just be outside because of the fact that they need something to do. And we might seem like bad people because we're supporting the camaraderie, I guess, so to say, but I'm disappointed that it's just an automatic shutdown without even having another test of someone.
I think one of my, I'm sorry, Madam President, but I also look at it from a standpoint of having so many student athletes that are looking forward to opportunity to go to college and pursue their career. Those seniors are going to miss out on that opportunity if we completely, at least at some point in time, like Madam President mentioned, if they can condition, if they can be in film session where coaches that recruit them can actually come and see them. If we shut it down completely, I just don't think that they have that opportunity and those kids will miss out. So I just want us to look at it from a different perspective, not so much of competition or having anybody to play against, but to continue to be involved. Because some, believe it or not, some of our kids come to school because they athletes. Keeps them off the street, keeps them busy doing something.
Madam President,
Trustee Rodriguez.
based on the evidence that I've heard today, I'm recalling the motion. I think at this point, we should hear from the director herself. And so I'm going to recall my motion to approve this item. So it's still on the table, correct, Harrison?
No, you took it off, so it's not on the table unless someone makes a motion for approval. Anyone else making a motion for approval?
Well, I'm with suspension of fall school.
We have to make a motion. We have to make a motion in order to
I'm
discuss.
sorry. I'm supposed to make a motion.
Correct, right?
If you want to make a motion, you would need to now, he recalled his.
So there's
He
no more
withdrew his
discussion,
motion. Right now, there isn't one on the floor,
and there's no discussion.
and there isn't any discussion.
Because the motion was removed, so that means right now, all we could do is you could ask for a motion. You could do the motion, and then you can have a second to discuss again, or you could just, we can't have the discussion because the motion was rescinded,
Or to die off.
or just
die off.
automatically die. Sorry? I know. So would you like to make a motion to move forward with this?
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion on the floor to move forward with the approval of recommendation for fall sports. Is there a second? The motion does not carry. Next, we'll move to item number 8, adoption of second reading of board policies number 2451, alternative education program, 4430.01, family and medical leaves of absence, FMLA, number 5200, attendance, 8450, control of casual contact, communicable diseases. Would that be you, attorney?
Yes, it will be, included in your board packet are a series of policies that the policy committee, which consists of Trustee Smith, Trustee Hernandez Orange, as well as the superintendent. We worked on all of these model policies that we go through the process of making sure that they're tailored specifically to East Chicago. All of these have been reviewed by the policy committee, and the committee is recommending that they be adopted on second reading by the board tonight.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, move to approve item 1.
Trustee Rodriguez moves to approve item number 8.
Second.
Trustee Smith seconds the motion. Any questions? Round of roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez,
Yes.
Trustee Jones,
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Hernandez on.
Yes. Item number 9, approval of use of Central High School parking lot, Superintendent Remarks.
Yes, I'm requesting board approval of the board to use the central parking lot for mobile food market on September 3rd, 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. We've had this company come out before, they give away free bags of food. Excuse me. First come, first serve, in the parking lot on September 3rd, which I believe is a Thursday, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Madam President, I make the motion.
Trustee Smith makes a motion for approval.
I'll second.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds the motion. Any questions?
Do you know, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
President,
Go ahead, Trustee Williams.
Superintendent, right, do you know, is this for East Chicago resident, or would it just be for first come, first served basis for the region?
All they require is Indiana driver's license, Indiana license, so first come, first serve, yes.
Okay.
Any other questions?
They have provided these services before.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
You just drive through, they put it in your truck,
Mhm.
and you go. I
Right.
don't think you have to show any ID or anything. You just, the food bank. Very very good.
Any other questions? Round of roll call, please.
Trustee Rodriguez.
Yes.
Trustee Jones.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yeah.
Cameron Anderson.
Yes. Next we'll have superintendent remarks.
Yeah, so, today, the assistant superintendent and I were sitting in the office and we were dealing with so many depressing issues. She received an email and, once she read the email to me, I felt as though the district had just hit the lottery. So I am pleased to announce that the school system in Chicago was awarded a $900,000 grant to purchase devices for students and staff. So our goal is, yeah. And we have a few more, this, on the way, so, but our goal is eventually, I would like to see this district move into a one-to-one, device at home and at school. That means that one day we're going to be able to give each one of our students a device to take home, and it stays there. And they're going to also have a device at school, so we don't have to worry about our kids transporting their devices to and from school. So I'm a goal setter, and I like to set smart goals, specific, measurable, accurate, reliable, and timely. So I'm going to put a goal out there that by next June 2021, that each one of our kids will have a device at home and at school. Because as we already know, technology is it. There's textbooks and hard copy books. Oh, those are very important, but our kids are used to the technology. So I'm very pleased to announce that $900,000 grant. This grant was called NEAR, Governor's Emergency Education Relief. From my understanding, no one in Northwest Indiana, no other school in Northwest Indiana received that grant. Am I correct in saying that, Ms. Goods? Well, no one else in Northwest Indiana received that grant. So that was lottery for the district. So money for you all, this is kind of money for us, so I was excited. Also, once again, COVID-19 safety precautions. I don't know if you know, if you're not a staff member in the district, teachers and staff are required to come to work. They work in their classrooms. They have a classroom by themselves. They should be practicing social distancing, wear a mask if they're not in the room by themselves. So once again, we're asking, even though we know that our staff are coming into the buildings, and we know that we are social beings, and we also know that you are happy and glad to see your friends and your teachers, but we're asking you to please be safe. Please wear your mask. Please wash your hands regularly. Please practice social distancing. I think that the plan that we laid out for the RED plan is pretty feasible. I can't imagine how it can get any better than what we have already planned for. We just need for our adults to make sure that they are practicing social distancing, wearing a mask, washing your hands regularly. As I had already stated, we were appointed the nurse, Miss Bobo, as our COVID coordinator. So if you have any questions, please send her an email. She's working closely with the Chicago Health Department. If she doesn't know, which I'm highly unlikely she doesn't, she will make sure that she gets those answers for you. So please practice social distancing and make sure that we can get through this safe and healthy. Also, for the last 5 days, last Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, and even today, we passed out Chromebooks. The first day was unbelievable. I pulled up maybe like 8:05, And I called the assistant superintendent and I said, do you see this line? It was incredibly long, in a good way. Our parents came out to get our equipment. The lines were long. I even sent some of the pictures to the newspaper. So right now, as of 5:30 today, we have loaned out 1,833 Chromebooks or laptops, 564 iPads, and 289 modems, which means that we do not have any more modems. As you all may recall, in the spring, I think we loaned out maybe 800 Chromebooks total. As of today, we have received all of those Chromebooks back except for 68. So we have tried to collect all of those Chromebooks. Also, because we had so many parents that were still in line yesterday and Monday, we asked teachers to just reboot their instruction and just to discuss expectations. So for those parents who didn't actually get a Chromebook until today, the teachers just pretty much rebooted instruction, and the kids really shouldn't have missed out on much. Parents, if you have any technology issues, please go to our district website and hit the link IT Help Desk at East Chicago at ecps.org. So let me say that again. So if parents have or teachers have a Chromebook device and they're having issues, we do have a help desk that will actually help our parents and our students with all of their technology needs. Again, we're serving breakfast and lunch at all the schools. Drive by, pick up a lunch, pick up a breakfast. I was told that you would everybody make sure that we had a hot breakfast on some days and a hot lunch, as opposed to all bag lunches. So that was a promise that they gave to us. And those of you who work in the school district, I don't know if you ever paid any attention to some of those breakfasts and lunches that kids receive. They're pretty good. So I'm looking forward to the fact that some of our kids may be able to get hot breakfast and lunch. In addition, during the fall, we're going to have buses located at certain centers throughout the district. We already know that some of our schools are far away from certain areas. So we should strategically set buses or going to sit buses at those locations so students can come pick up a lunch and just walk back to their home. And they don't have to worry about going to the schools and their parents driving them to the schools. And lastly, once again, COVID is fluid, it changes daily. Every time I open up my email, something has changed. So change is like my new life, change. So we're asking that you all please listen to the robocalls. I know you all look at the number 391-4100 and say to yourself, I'm not going to answer. I know it's just School City Chicago calling. I'm tired of them calling me. But every time we call, we have very important information. And sometimes we do have to call 2 or 3 times because we don't want you all to say, I didn't know. So we do call a lot. But that's our way of communicating with you all so that you all know that you all are important to us, and we all want you to know the information that is being put out. So you don't have to call other people and ask. So we ask that you please listen to those robocalls. Mr. Torres does a really good job of updating our website. We can call him right now. Our website will be updated within the next 10 minutes. So that website is also very fluid. If you miss a couple days, you may miss some information. I'm just being honest. If you do not look at that website daily, then you're going to miss some information. So we ask that you please visit our website. And we also encourage you to please contact your child's school and or their administrators. Ms. Goods has given the principals a directive that they must communicate with their parents. Also, their websites are being updated and their staff emails are being updated. So we're doing everything that we can to make sure that we're communicating well with you all. Communication is important. We want you all to have the information, but at the same time, sometimes you have to go look for it. And please make sure that this is a two-way communication. Please, we'll reach out to you and we encourage you all to reach out to us. And I believe that is it. Thank you.
Next, we have trustee remarks. Are there any trustee remarks? I go, trustee Smith.
First, I'd like to say, I'd like to thank the teachers and the parents and staff for your efforts in trying to make this transition work. I don't know if you understand that this COVID-19 has really changed the course of our lives. Not only our personal lives, but our children's lives, our workplace. This particular epidemic, a pandemic, has altered everything that we took for granted. But I want to thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedule to try to learn this e-learning, everything. All of this is new to me. So to parents who don't understand, I get it. But we do have technical support to help you through this. I also want you all to understand that this is not an easy situation. It's not easy. We sit here, we're constantly in meetings. Ms. Wright and Assistant Superintendent, all of them are constantly in meetings. Like she said, today it might be one thing, tomorrow we might be in flux with a whole lot of emails. I don't know if you understand that the law changes, and we have to go by what the Indiana School Board Association and our governor, that's who govern our law when it comes to different programs like special ed, and all of those particular programs have to be covered. I know it's difficult, and some of this I don't understand myself, but like, ask questions. Don't judge. Ask a question, because this is nothing to play with. This is very, very tedious and it's time consuming. We as board members are constantly reading, emailing, and trying to get some understanding. As you all know, like I said, I'm technology illiterate, so I'm learning. So I suggest you all don't judge. If you don't understand, ask. If not, then get on the website, indiana.gov education, and read it for yourself, and you will understand that sitting here is not an easy situation. And like I said, every day things change, and every day there's a problem. It's going to be a problem until we tweak this, and it might take this month, and it might take next month. But our main goal is to make sure that each and every one of our students get whatever they need in order to excel in their education, emotionally and socially. So I just want you all to understand, all of this jargon out here, we're not doing this, we're not doing that. We're doing the best we possibly can. Plus, also remember, when you say Maryville is doing this, Crown Point is doing that, take the tax base with a different tax bracket. Maryville has the mall, all of the businesses. Hobart on the other side has all of the business. We are a small community. There are more homeowners over there, so their tax base is much different from ours. And until you realize the formula and understand, we as East Chicago, I think, are doing more than some of them with a higher tax base. So before you start judging and criticizing, understand the position that we're in. It's not an easy situation trying to take this amount of money and stretch it to this. We're not doing anything to hurt or harm anybody as far as their employment. We're not, that's not, we want our kids back in school. And if I could get them back in there today, I promise you, they would be marching in Monday. So I'm just saying, bear with us. It changes every day. As we sit here, we go home, it might be a whole different situation because we have to be governed by the state financially. Yeah, and our Lake County, but it does not cover all the things that we want. If we could afford to have each desk shield so that our students can come back in, if we could afford that, we would do that. So I'm just saying from my heart, please don't judge. Help us. If you have a situation and you have a suggestion, come to us, talk to us. Because it hurts my feeling, and I'm quite sure it hurts all of our board members when we hear this, that, and the other, and we're doing the very best that we possibly can. We've given out Chromebooks, iPads, we've given out hotspot, but we need parents to participate. This is just not a board situation or a teacher. We need the parents in the community to help us help their children. I'm just kind of like emotional right now because everybody wants to blame us for everything that's not working. We don't have all the answers, because if we did, we wouldn't be sitting here going through all of this with all of these policies and procedures. So I'm just saying, bear with us, work with us. Thank you.
Any other trustees? I do want to say, again, thank you to not only our teachers who, I know at sometimes we don't want to be in the buildings. I get it, I understand. But, you know, everyone needed help. Well, not everyone, but some people needed help with technology. Some people needed the support. I think that's one of the main reasons that people are in buildings as of this point right now. I also want to thank parents, because you have came out of your realm and decided to be teachers also. And to those parents, I want you to be patient with teachers. None of these teachers went to school to e-learn. They did not get taught e-learn. And if I'm correct, if I'm wrong, a teacher could please tell me, but I'm sure that was not in your curriculum on how to e-learn. So we have to have patience. This is brand new to them as it is to you. And most importantly, I want to thank the students that have been jumping on to do the e-learning, because from pre-K to 12, it looks different for everybody. Trying to hear the background noise and understand, you know, what's happening, that's all confusing. I know for a fact my dog tries to get into the picture every single time there's something that's happening, and it throws a child off. So I commend those young individuals on trying to get some type of teaching done. Unfortunately, it looks the way it looks. I wish we weren't here at this point in time, but it does. And I think everyone is trying to put effort into making it happen. I love Facebook. Whew, I love Facebook because you bash, you don't, you care, whatever. Just know that every single person that's here on this side, and I know every single teacher is also trying to do what's best for the child. And everyone says, oh, you didn't have the plan ready. No, plans were ready, but then it changed. This wasn't ready. It was ready, but then plans changed. As you know, the governor said on a Wednesday, we recommend for full funding. That's a recommendation. Doesn't mean we're gonna get full funding come in 2 months. That means it's a recommendation, and who knows, depending on who the president is, unfortunately, because they're playing politics, is what's really gonna happen. And it sucks because the only person that is being affected is the child. I also want to commend those individuals who worked on the grant, the $9,000 grant.
900,000.
900,000, sorry. Let me take that back, 900,000. Yeah. So I've been a school board member for about 4 years. And we've asked about grants, we've asked about grants, we asked about grants. The biggest grant we received is the Lilly grant. I think this is the second biggest grant that we have received. And I know we had a couple of turn eyes when she said the one-to-one at home. And I know people were gonna say, well, you guys did one-to-one with the iMac or the MacBooks a couple years ago. One thing that our attorney has done a great job doing, and I know this is happening, is he has sent out letters for all those individuals who had taken a laptop in the springtime. Because State Board of Accounts was like, well, you know, are you getting this money back? Stuff that we have paid for, are you getting this money back? We decided to go the extra step and make sure that anything that belongs to us, we have returned. The attorney has, made sure he has sent letters out, up to 3 letters as of right now, where we will go through litigation if we need to in order to receive your tax dollars back to the school city so it could be put in good use. Because we're not allowing it to happen with the MacBooks and they could walk away. We're making sure that it comes back and they're put into good use with the students. I also want to just congratulate overall our superintendent. Yes, I'm going to give you a hard time because I will forever see if our job as school board members are to make sure that everything's done fairly. And if there's certain people that are being pushed to the side, if there's individuals, as in this list, that is not being done correctly, if we're talking about it in executive session and we hear out in the streets, oh, this is happening, blah, 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 it's gonna be brought to you, because if not, then someone's gonna let us know that we're not doing our job. So please don't feel offended. But if you do, understand that we have a job to do ourselves, and this is what gets done. Not friend or foe, but I'm just letting you know. Anything else from our trustees? Next, we'll have public forum.
Good evening. Sir, good evening. The public forum is an opportunity for the public to participate in our meeting. I would ask that when you step to the podium, you state your name, speak clearly. You'll have 3 minutes for your remarks. Please be respectful to the audience, to the board members here, and to the staff, and refrain from discussing any personnel matters.
First will be Mrs. Helen Steinbeck.
Good evening, I'm Helen Steinbach. I live at 5207 East 73rd in Maryville, Indiana. And I wanted to say thank you for putting those devices in the hands of our children. We've had 3 days of e-learning and it's been a lot better than it was in the spring. And so I'm excited about that. I do know that there might be not a handful, but a group of our children that don't have devices, and that's because of the qualifications that they have to meet. And so hope that we could find a way to get those devices in their hands so that they also can benefit from our teaching. And then I also want to say thank you for the continued discussion about our working conditions. And I know I'm not supposed to discuss personal matters, but I hope that we continue to keep our teachers safe and make sure that they don't contract this virus by coming to work. So thank you.
Thank you. Up next is Carmelo Gonzalez.
Good evening, board members and superintendent. I'm here with some terrible news. I'm here on behalf of my granddaughter. She's 12 years old, who attends Washington Elementary. Tuesday morning, when she logged into Zoom and for her class session, I don't know how long it took. I don't know if it was immediately or hours later. Porn popped out in her Chrome. So the teacher immediately shut down. And my daughter and the teacher have been having great communications, okay? Today, it happened again. I'm not just only worried about my granddaughter. I'm also worried about the students that are in the class and have to see this nonsense. I hope you all could do something about this, because 12 years old, to see something like that is terrible. So I thank you for your time.
Thank you. One more person. Is it Rahan?
Yes.
Cody?
Yes.
All right. Welcome.
I'm just going to reiterate what he said. I'm a parent. I have 3 kids that go to Lincoln. And it's the truth. They are seeing porn. I see parents in the background smoking cigarettes, smoking marijuana, or kids that's supposed to be in class holding or watching younger siblings that, are babies. I just want to know, how are they learning like this? And then my kids have, 2 of my kids have IEPs. They haven't received services since school's been out in March. So I'm not understanding what's going on.
Thank you. That's it.
Okay, the next date and time of a meeting will be Thursday, September 3rd, 2020. I'm sorry,
Right.
our special session will be on Friday at 6 p.m. I just want to make mention, we have a free testing site here in our ad building for anyone or everyone to come and take testing. Ms. Wright, for our school teachers, if you could, if they let you know if they're concerned and they want to come take a test, is there any way that we could work with them to come and get a free testing for them, you know, I don't know, throughout the day or something, or if we could work that out with the coordinator, they could contact you just so that we can make sure to stay up to date on that. Also, I know, and I should mention this.
So can I address that?
Yes.
So, Ms. Steinberg, you can let your teachers know that if they can use their planning period, they must get approval from the building administrator. And if the building administrator approves that they can use their building, come over and take a COVID test, then that's fine. Or if they want to use their lunch hour, as we already know, it's gluten-free lunch hour. Most of the times the lines are not long, so they may, if they're in Washington, D.C., be able to come over quickly, but absolutely, if they want to use their planning period and nothing is planned, absolutely, I see no problem.
And I also asked, I know we discussed previously, but if we could have the temperature checks done for every individual that walks in the building prior to them even walking in the building. So even if we have to have where the teachers come in a certain door, so they can have temperature checked. All the people coming through the front door to just go in the building, have temperature checks. So then that's another precaution that we have. And I know you said, please wear your mask, but if you're in an area where there's another person, I think that's something that is required rather than just an ask, because of the fact that that could actually, you know, spread the virus. And more importantly, we need to think about the weekend and after school hours. Let's all make sure that we wear our mask and stay socially distanced, because whatever you do on the outside, always come on the inside. So we will see you guys on Friday at 6 p.m. Oh, I'm sorry, it was a motion. I'm sorry, I need a motion to adjournment. I'm ready to go. Rhonda, can I have a motion for adjournment, please? Trustee Smith makes a motion to adjourn.
I'll say.
Trustee Rodriguez seconds. Roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
So what we think was happening.